Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me today to learn a little bit more about your ABMP Premier School membership. My name is Taffy Lewis, and I am the Director of Membership Outreach in our Education Department. So let's get right into talking a little bit about some resources that are available to you as instructors and faculty and administrators, and also your students regarding this membership. All right, first off, I wanted to let you know just a little bit of background here. Not only do we have a Massage Therapy Association that's been around for 30 years now, but we also have 3 other associations that support the rest of the wellness and beauty industry. So we do have a skincare association, hair, and nails association. So some of our members are actually massage therapists and estheticians, for instance, and they're able to belong to both associations for the price of one. So kind of a nice deal. So in case you do have other programs at your school, I just want to make sure you knew this piece as well. All right, our education department is your support system. We really see ourselves that way. And, you know, we spend a lot of time thinking about how can we best support you in the classroom? How do we make your jobs easier? So hopefully today, as we go through some of these resources, you'll start to see just how we've worked to do that for you, and you'll be able to access and utilize some of these resources along the way. One of the ways that we stay on top of things over here is we spend a lot of time really researching and finding out what are the latest instructional theory, what is the latest instructional design, what are the trends in education. And then we really want to look at what are the needs of today's learners. And when we combine those things, we then take them and we apply that to massage education. So hopefully you've seen the benefits of that over the years. We've spent a lot of time building from that research a lot of resources for students, instructors, and schools. One of the things that we also wanted to make sure of is that we thanked instructors for the hard work you do every day. So we do have an instructor discount, just so you're aware. It's a $24 discount off of a professional membership with us or certified level membership. And just to let you know, there's some additional things that you get when you're an instructor member with us. You have access to our free CE on-demand webinars and instructor specific as well as professional general topics. You also have access to our student success curriculum, our Massage and Bodywork magazine, and of course, all of our other professional resources, discounts, and insurance. So if you're interested, contact your liaison or contact our membership department, and we can help you with getting that discount underway. Some of the webinars that we have put together for educators, we do have an Instructor 101 webinar series, and this has 8-hour long webinars that relate to education theory, you know, how to set up great lectures, how to do great demonstrations, lesson planning, all those great topics. And this is great for someone getting, you know, into teaching for the first time and fairly new to teaching, but even great for someone who's been teaching for many years. It can definitely be a great reference point and just kind of a refresher. We've also developed a 3-part series called Reinventing the Lecture, which is designed to help you make your lectures more engaging. So let's get into, we're going to cover these 4 different areas today. We're going to talk about Exam Coach and get into a little bit more about kind of the story behind the scenes of how it was built, a quick tour of Exam Coach, and then some helpful tips as you're helping your students utilize the program. We're going to talk about Student Life, which is a great resource that your students have at their fingertips, but you do as well. Liability insurance, just a couple of pointers on that, because we know that you do, as instructors, get asked often, you know, what's the difference between different companies or associations, or what type of insurance should they get. So we want to give you some pointers on that. And then also really want to make sure you know, how does this transition work from being a student with Exam Coach and Student Life into becoming a professional member with ABMP? There are some definite things that we want to make sure you're aware of and how simple it is. All right, let's start with Exam Coach. So hopefully you're all fairly familiar with Exam Coach at this point, but it is an interactive online test prep tool for your classes as well as the MBLEX. So here's just a little bit of background about this program. first off, we really want to make sure that you know this is an ancillary resource. It was built to be used throughout the program, not just for the MBLEX, and I think that makes it kind of unique. It truly is built in a way where the information is chunked just enough by topic and subtopic that you can use it in any class you're teaching on campus. We hired subject matter experts to work with us for basically over a 2-year period to build this program and help us write to build this data bank, this test data bank. And it does mimic the wide range of MBLEX questions that students will get on their exams. So why that's important, you might think 4,500 questions is really, do we need that many? The answer is yes, because the MBLEX, you know, pulls from thousands of questions when they go to take the exam, and it is a computer adaptive test. So that means it is based on the test taker's ability level. So the better a student does, the harder the questions get. And so we wanted to build Exam Coach in a way that you had enough of easy to moderate to advanced questions within the whole program, so that a student, the more they use it, the more they're going to see the breadth of questions they might get on the MBLEX. There are 10 different subject areas, which are all taught within massage and all covered on the MBLEX, and there's 74 content areas that those subject areas break down into. There are unlimited quizzes, which is very unique. I don't know any other program out there that has unlimited quizzing like we do. A lot of programs will say, we've got unlimited quizzes, but what they don't tell you is that you can take the same 10 quizzes an unlimited number of times. So a little different. Ours is truly a unique experience every time. We also have over 2,500 flashcards within the program and audio terminology. And audio terminology becomes so useful with someone who maybe English is a second language, or maybe they're an auditory learner. So when they go and look at any of the 2,600 terms within the program, they can click and hear the audio pronunciation for each and every one of them. Also a very unique feature. So we do have 4 full practice tests, and they do stimulate the MBLEX experience as far as the weighting of the questions are the same as the MBLEX. It's the same number of questions as the MBLEX and time the same as the test. So it really does feel similar to the exam that they're going to experience. And when they're done with those practice exams, each one of them will pull up a summary report, and it will tell that student exactly how they did in all 74 areas, all 74 content areas, and it will also provide them with all the questions that they got wrong so they can go back and do more research. So I'll show you that here in a bit. And I also wanted to point out that most of our premier schools, we've arranged with them to allow Exam Coach to be accessible after graduation. So your students should have Exam Coach at least, 2 to 3 months after graduation, so they have time to prepare further for the MBLEX if needed. And by the way, if they should need some additional exams added because they've used them all, they can just contact our membership department. We can add them. Again, it is in moderation. This is not an unlimited opportunity, but in moderation, we'd be happy to add exams at no charge. And I'll explain a little bit more about why it's in moderation here in a minute. All right, so Exam Coach. Let's go through a quick tour, show you some of the new features that we've added. The cool thing about the fact that we built Exam Coach is that we're able to add things to it as we go. So keep an eye out. There'll probably be more additions added down the road as we go, and certainly as we get more and more school feedback on what they'd like to see. One of the things that's changed is how you access Exam Coach. So as a school, once you log in with your school account login, you are going to click on any of these Exam Coach links. So you can click on the picture up in the top navigation or on the left-hand side. That will get you to Exam Coach. Once you click on that, it's going to bring you to the page that is the landing page for Exam Coach. It's everything Exam Coach. So if you wanted to learn more about how to use it in your program, click here. If you wanted to download the teacher's guide, we've developed an amazing teacher's guide that has over, I think it's got like 9 activities in it about how to use the different features of Exam Coach in the classroom to build critical thinking skills and to build terminology understanding. And it's just really an awesome way to make it come alive in the class. And then there's also a student guide. So you can always download the student guide, print it for your students, or you could just email them the PDF. And this really talks to the student about how to best use Exam Coach for the best results, and also has a great kind of a timeline toward the end of it of how to strategize your time and study every single topic before you take the MBLEX. But to get to access, just click this access link for Exam Coach, and we'll talk about Exam Coach trackers. The key with Exam Coach, really want to focus on this area with your students. Make sure that they spend most of their time in study subjects. The reason being is that's where those 4,500 questions live. So the more that they go into that and they quiz and they check the terminology and they do flashcards, the more they're starting to see the breadth of the questions that they're going to get on the MBLEX. Once they click on study subjects, they're going to have 10 different topics to choose from. And for instance, I chose, just for the screenshot here, I chose anatomy and physiology. And then within that subject matter, they're going to find all the subcategories of that topic. So you can start to see kind of the chunking of the material here. You know, if you're teaching the skeleton and teaching all about the skeletal system, then a student can just click on this and they can start to play with terms and quizzing in just that topic, which can prepare them for their test next week in your class. So really helpful for studying throughout classes and built that way. Once they click on a subject, they're going to have 3 fun ways to study. So they can either do terminology, study flashcards, or take a practice quiz. So let's quickly look at those. And if you have played with Exam Coach, I just want to go through this for people who haven't really gotten in there yet, or just to remind you, but we'll make this pretty quick. So when you get into terminology, remember that you can click on any term, the definition will pop up, and then here's where you click on hear pronunciation to hear the audio. You can also down in the left-hand side here, search for a term or a flashcard. So if there's a term you're looking for at any time, you can search it, and as long as it's within our 2,600 terms, you'll find that information. Next is study flashcards. And the flashcards work just like kind of any flashcard, where you just get the question, you click on the card, it flips over and gives you the answer. And really fun to use, very quick. You know, the thing I like about Exam Coach is students can use it on their phones, you know, waiting in line for the grocery store or whatever. You can use it on tablet, computers, just about anywhere with an internet connection. So I can go through some flashcards really quickly, and maybe I know this one pretty well, I don't need to see it anymore. If I click on this check mark here, it will actually kind of remove that flashcard from my deck, and then I can always bring it back later. Now let's look at practice quizzing. And again, remember, every time I take a quiz, it's a unique experience. I'm never going to get the same quiz twice. So here we are at a quiz. It's going to be 10 questions that I get in a quiz. I'm going to just, you know, pick my answer, multiple choice, and it's going to give me instant feedback. Oops, try again. And I'm going to keep choosing until I get the right answer. And I'll move on to the next. Now, the nice thing about these quizzing, the quiz feature, is that when you've answered a question correctly 3 times, the system will remove that question from the queue. And that way, I don't keep seeing questions I already know. I get to get more and more into that bucket of 4,500 questions and start to see the breadth more and more of what's out there. That's why we say you want your students to quiz, then maybe take a practice exam, see how they're doing, go back and quiz in the areas they didn't score very well, quiz in those areas, come back and take another exam. So you can start to see why it's so important to live in the brain area, the study subject area. Quizzing, kind of like running a marathon, right? You know, the 5K is the practice exam. All the months, the weeks, the days of running and practicing up to the race is the quizzing. And that's where you want your students to live. Can't run that 5K if you haven't done enough quizzing. Now, at the end of a quiz, I will get a score. And there's also a new feature here where I can email the score to an instructor if I'd like. So that's kind of a cool thing. If you assign quizzing as homework or extra credit, I could just email you and you'll know I've done it and you'll see my score. So that's just a great way to kind of monitor that process and get your students going with the quizzing. Okay, so that's the 3 fun ways to study. let's look at the My Progress section, this red section here. At any time, your students can go in and see how they're doing. So if I go in, I can see, first of all 74 topics listed, and I can see when I've been in there last and when I haven't. I apologize for this very old screenshot. I promise you I've been in there since 2015. But your students, they'll be able to see where they've been and where they need to go. Also, if they click on the flashcards section, they can see, have I hidden any flashcards, and they can bring them back. They can also go to quizzes, and this is an important piece here. The quiz questions, I would recommend telling students to go in and look at this, because as I answer more and more, as I answer more and more questions correctly, I'll start to see this number increase on every topic. So it'll start to say 20 questions removed, 40 questions removed, bring them back if you'd like. So I need to start seeing that happening in every topic if I can. The more questions I remove, the more I'm mastering the material, the better I'm going to do on my practice exam, and ultimately, the better I'll do on the real exam. So that's my progress. Let's take a quick look at the practice exams here. And on the practice exams, your students will all start with 4 exams, and it does talk to them about how, it's timed, how many questions they get. They can pause the exam if they need to. So they just go in and start an exam. And it's just going to be like the real thing. When they answer the question, they're not going to get feedback right away if it's right or wrong. It's just going to go right on to the next question. Up at the top here, though, they will see how much time they have remaining, and they can pause the exam if need be. If something happens in the middle of it and they need to pause, they can do that and come back to it later. Although we hope that they really sit for a real practice session and treat it like the exam itself. When they're done with the exam, they're going to get this lovely summary report. And it's going to tell them overall what their score was. It's going to point out all 74 topics listed, how I did. If I see lots of green, I'm happy. When I start seeing red and the pink, I'm not so happy. And that means I didn't do so well in that topic. But it's also now showing me what were the questions that I got wrong. And so now I can actually go and research these. So for instance, this anterior triangle question, I can highlight anterior triangle, put it in the search bar, and it'll bring me to wherever that falls on flashcards or terms. And that way I can go research and figure out, okay, what was it supposed to be? What is that? Why did I get it wrong? Now, you're going to find that as you play with this, we don't just bring you to the right answer. And that is by design. We really feel that students need to build their critical thinking skills. And this is something that schools have told us for many, many years now, how concerned they are that they aren't able to think on their feet. So we need students to really research. We want them to go back to your textbooks, go back to their notes, search in Exam Coach, and look for the information. So that way they really are understanding the material, so that no matter what question comes at them from the NBLEX, they'll be able to decipher it, break it down, and answer it correctly. Sometimes people just want to memorize the correct answer, and that's a challenge because the NBLEX, nobody has the questions that the NBLEX actually uses. So why would you memorize an answer when it's not going to help you later? And so if you can kind of share that with your students, I think that'll be helpful, and they won't expect it. But they'll definitely know their material through this program. All right, here's some user tips real quick. If your students have any login challenges, the default is always the email that we were given by the school, and the password is always their last name with the first letter capitalized. So if they're using those things, it should work just fine, but you can verify. Sometimes they'll say, I can't get in, and it's probably because they're using the wrong email or password. You can now verify what is the email that we have on file for that student. You can even send them right there on the spot a reset, a password reset, if it's a password issue, and that way they can get in right away. If we have the wrong email, for temporarily you can have them use the email that's in the system and it will work, but of course we want to have the correct email for them. So if you could contact our membership department, just let us know what the correct email should be for that person. We can change it and then it'll work for you. All right, let's look at another tip. If you find that students are having lower scores on the practice exams, definitely encourage more quizzing. What that means is they don't have the they don't have the material down as good as they should before they get to that practice exam. You know, in our practice exams, because the NBLEX is a computer adaptive test, when students go to our practice exams, we tend to try to remove a lot of the easier questions and keep it moderate to advanced. So, you know, it's definitely worth their while to keep quizzing and get to see those questions before they do our practice exam. We feel that's the best way to prepare them for a computer adaptive test. Since we don't have a computer adaptive test ourselves, that would be a whole nother server network. So that's about as close as we can get to that. So just have them quiz, and master the material. Now, practice exams. If they should need more practice exams before they're out of school, the school can contact us and we'd be happy to add the practice exams for you at no charge, but again, in moderation. At some point, we're probably going to look at that, and sometimes we'll get students calling us saying, I need more exams, and we'll go and look sometimes at how are you doing on your quizzing, because if you're just doing 100 questions at a time in the practice exam, you're not preparing yourself well enough for the NBLEX. So we will often coach them to go quiz first, and then contact us for more exams. So you can do the same as a school, and we encourage that you do that, but feel free to contact us. We will add them in moderation, but not at unlimited. It's not unlimited. So exam coach, did it close unexpectedly? Sometimes we've had students contact us and say, the program kicked me out. And what we come to find is that they've lost their internet connection. So although the program might feel like an app on their phone, it's not. It does need an internet connection. So just kind of keep reminding students of that. All right. New features in Exam Coach Tracker, very exciting. For this webinar, I'm not going to go into the details of how to use Tracker. By now, you should have received a navigation tracker, but we also can at any time provide your own separate webinar to walk you through how to use Tracker and all the elements of it. But I did want to mention to you kind of the new way to get to Tracker, and also remind you that the new features, a couple of new features are, you can look and see your student's email. As a matter of fact, if you can see it here, if I hover over the key when I'm in Tracker, that's how I can see their email address that we're using. And if I click on the key, it'll give me the option to send that reset email. So that's a really cool feature that's been added. We also recently added a way for you to see graduate data, so up to a year. So if you do happen to monitor your graduates on Exam Coach and seeing how they're doing after they've graduated, you can do that. All right, how do you get to Tracker? After you're logging in with your school login, you're going to land on this on the home page for your school home, and then all you need to do is, again, you'll be clicking on that Exam Coach link. Remember, that brings you to the Exam Coach page. There's a Tracker link here with the people on the stairs, or over on the left, this Tracker under Quick Links, this link here is always available. So at any time, you could just click that and get where you want to go. All right, that's Exam Coach. So let me cover just a few more pieces, and then we'll be done. You'll be all set. And again, of course, if you have any questions at all, please contact your school liaison or myself, and we'd be happy to help you. But here's a few more pieces that you should know. Student life. It's really meant to be a campus-wide support system, not just for your students. Although your students have access to this, they have access to a ton of free resources online to help them through school. And they include helpful features and tips on everything that comes up while they're in school, downloadable study aids, 36 massage technique videos and webinars. They get their own website builder, and they're even entered into, on a monthly basis, our $1,000 scholarship program. So every month we are pulling a winner for our $1,000 scholarship. So your students are a part of that as long as they're in school. Now, this program, although it's incredible for students and hopefully they know it's there, they don't always know that they even have this resource. But the way I look at it, coming from being an admissions director to being a registrar and also being a campus director, I know, oh yeah, and a registrar, did I mention that? I was a registrar for 300 students. So when I was on campus, if I had these resources at my fingertips in any of those roles, I could use them with our students, because we know the academic side is just a portion of what they go through when they're in school. When they're in school, life happens, and they oftentimes life is a drop. It's not, or not do well. It's not the academics necessarily, it's life. So that's why we created Student Life. And these resources are there to help you help your students as well. So let's talk about, what do I mean by these 36 featured topics and tips? What I did was I categorized them a little bit here so you could just see there are resources to help your students with time management. There are resources for study methods, building resilience and motivation, building communication skills. This is one of the top things that we hear from instructors all the time, that our students don't have communication skills. Well, we've got resources to help you with that. Mastering the sciences. We also hear that students aren't prepared for the academic challenge of school. Then there's also practice building support, so getting ready for that new career, whether they're going to work for someone else or themselves, and hands-on work. So we basically have developed resources for all of these areas. So if you've ever had a student that you've had to help in these ways, you now have an additional support system. Within Student Life, there's also an additional 36 massage technique videos where we got together, we got several of our massage therapists at ABMP together and did a bunch of filming over a course of time to have them share with you their favorite techniques, tips for massage and so forth. So these videos are all just about 2 minutes long, really fun to watch. The students love it because they can just click on it on their phones and watch it real quick. But these videos are also great as an ancillary video to show in the classroom if you happen to be talking about, for instance, draping. There's draping mistakes to avoid. So things like that. So lots of fun to use these resources. There's also 60 downloadable study aids. Now your students might use them to take better notes, but you can use them as an instructor for extra credit activities or homework assignments. There are sample resumes and cover letters, so career services can even use this resource, marketing webinars, and so there's webinars like on how to build your practice, how to use social media, how do you market your practice, how do you get repeat business, all of these great resources, again, that can be utilized as additional schoolwork that really makes a difference. Career planning worksheets and more. Now, the way Student Life, it kind of works in a couple of different ways. The main way is we tried to make it to be a resource where we could reach out to students and say, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Do you need support with that? So what your students are seeing, they get a Student Life email. And it looks something like this. It's always in the same format where they can see a Picked Fresh, which is usually a downloadable resource. They'll see the video that we're highlighting, and they'll see a Take 5. And Take 5 is really just kind of lifestyle tips. So for instance, this particular email was all about palpating muscles. So if I'm a student and when I see this email come through, if I happen to be in that topic, that's going to be really timely. That's like, oh my gosh, I'm totally in that class. I could use that. So that's one way we're speaking to them. However, maybe I don't need palpation, but I need something with time management. So as a student, I can just go to the website, I can go to Student Life, and I can go find the resource I need at the time I need it. Speaking of emails, the way they kind of customize themselves as the student gets closer to graduation. So when the student's getting close to graduation, the verbiage on the email starts changing, and it says, things like, hey, do you need some support in passing the test? Click here to learn 8 great steps to getting ready to pass the NBLEX. Or it'll say, do you need some help planning your career? Click here to learn 8 different ways to kind of get ready or explore different career options. So, but when you look at these topics, these could also be great resources for career services, right? So if I'm in career services, I might look at these and say, I was talking to that student and they're really thinking about, specializing in sports massage or something like that. So I could go find this resource, and I bet there's something in there for me that I could share with that student as well. So it really is meant to be a support system for all, and hopefully you can kind of see how that works. Now, what we really wanted to do was make this easier for the instructor side, easier for the school. Because on the student side, the students just click on Student Life, they can go to the newsletter archives, they can see all the topics and click on what they need. But it wasn't really organized in any specific order of things. So for instructors, I decided, and faculty and admin, I wanted to make sure that it was easier for you all to find what you needed when you needed it. So again, when you log in with your school login, you can click on ABMP Student Life link up here, the picture, or on the left-hand side, and that's going to take you to everything Student Life. Now, I'm going to pop out here for a second on the website and show you how this would work. So I'm already out, I've already logged in as a school, and it's brought me to the school homepage. So I'm just going to click on the picture, the Student Life picture, and it's going to take me to everything Student Life page. So this is where you're going to land. Now, if I wanted to know more about Student Life, I can click here, Student Life in the classroom. If I want to know what the current feature is, which right now I think it's all about learning pathology, newsletter archives. If I want to see all 36 topics, I click here. Or if I just want pass the test or plan your career info, we've sectioned that out for you. So let's look at Student Life in the classroom. This is where I want to go. Let's say I've got a student who really could use some extra support in learning the muscles. So I'm going to click here and see if ABMP's got anything for me. And when I come to this page, at the top here, you're going to see all those categories that I created. So you've got your study methods, mastering the sciences, time management, practice building hands-on, resilience and communication, the massage technique videos, NBLEX test prep, and career support. So let's say I know the student's going to need some help with muscles, so I'm going to try mastering the sciences. If I click on that, it takes me down the page to that section. And underneath Mastering the Sciences, there's 3 articles that might help. There's Mastering Healthcare Terminology, Easier Ways to Learn the Muscles, and Effective Methods for Learning Pathologies. Oh, well, there's the muscle one that I want. And then underneath the articles, you'll always see the downloadable forms. So I can see there's a vocabulary form, there's a muscle graphic organizer, and there's a pathology graphic organizer. So let's go see what Easier Ways to Learn the Muscles is all about. If I click on that, it takes me right over to what the student would see. So this is the article, Easier Ways to Learn the Muscles. If I scroll down, I can see the tips that we're giving students. So as an instructor, I might choose to print that off. I might just choose to teach from that. I've got all sorts of options of the way I want to use the article, but the picked fresh is always going to be, in most cases, that's a downloadable form. So here, the organizer, reach that out. So I click on it. It's going to give me a couple options here of different forms, and here's the muscle graphic organizer. So what I can do is simply print this off. I can email it to students, have them use this as a resource, or that particular student that needs support. And in the graphic organizer, it's a really cool form. This actually happens to be like one of the top 5 forms that instructors love. And the student is asked to draw the muscle here, then they palpate the muscle on themselves, palpate it on a client or a fellow student, outline the muscle using grease pencils, etc. So it walks them through kind of the palpation, and then identifying the origins, insertions, and actions of the muscle, a few activities there. On the back side, they demonstrate their knowledge of the actions of the muscle, and then synergists, antagonists, etc. So this is the form that then becomes an incredible study tool, because now you give me a homework assignment that actually means something, because I can put, for just about every muscle I learn, I could put these in a notebook and have an incredible study tool for later. So now you've just really maximized my time as a student, which I appreciate. So that's how you would use just one example of how you kind of get around in student life. And the cool thing is, coming up here pretty soon, for all 36 of these topics available, we are actually creating extra credit activities for each and every one of them. So if you were looking for extra credit, you'd be able to go pick one you want. The student's worksheet will be downloadable right in front of you. The directions are there. You can give it to them for extra credit or homework. So we're excited about that. That's coming soon. All right, let me come back to my PowerPoint here. All right, one of the other resources that your students has available that's also a great classroom resource is they have access to our website builder. So as a student, they can start building their website and use that in a marketing class, a business class, for extra credit again. Our website builder has unlimited pages, templates they can choose from. It's really easy to use because it's got choose and use content where a lot of the content's already built and they just need to customize it. Great for blogging their training experience, attaching to their social media. You can use it again in your business and marketing classes. They could even post their resumes and testimonials to get the job down the road. Another thing your students have access to is our Massage and Bodywork magazine. And this is the digital version, so they don't get the hard copy version, but they get the digital version, which is in some ways even cooler because it has video embedded in it. So a lot of the authors that write our articles are video bodywork. So pretty amazing resource. Also a great teaching tool if you ever want to use that in the classroom. And your students do get select discounts from our advertisers. So as a student, they get maybe probably 20 to 30% of our discounts that are available to professionals. And then once you become a professional member, they get all the discounts. So that is Exam Coach and Student Life. Just a couple more pieces here. Let's talk a little bit about insurance, liability insurance, because a lot of times, we don't expect you guys to know the insurance world, but we do want you to know some highlights so you can help students know what they should look for. Because there's a lot of options out there. So liability insurance, by the way, right now your students have policies, a free insurance policy with us in most cases because Exam Coach does come with free insurance for our premier schools. So your students already have insurance. They have professional liability, general, and product. And they have a total of $6 million in coverage for school-sanctioned activities. So as long as they've agreed to their insurance terms and logged in and agreed to those terms, they have insurance. And it covers them for if someone says they hurt them during a massage, let's say during a clinic massage, they would be covered for that. General liability, slip and fall, product liability, a reaction to a lotion or oil. $6 million total, school sanctioned. So it does have to be, if you are not okay with them doing volunteer events out in the field and they go do an event and something happens, if it wasn't school sanctioned, then they would not be covered. So it's important to let them know that. Now, let's talk a little bit about the transition then. So they've got this great insurance as a student. They might as well keep it as they move into their professional world. And I'll explain why that makes such good sense. First of all, the biggest reason is normally for our professional membership, it's $199 for the year, and that's for a $6 million policy and all of our great resources, $199 a year. Because your students have Exam Coach with us, their first year is only $75. That is a huge savings. It's the best deal that they can get in the profession, hands down. That is the best price, and it's for the best insurance they could have to start them on their way. And we feel, the best membership they can have on their way. So why not help them keep a great thing going and help them get that huge discount when money's tight? They're, saving up for the NBLEX exam. It's kind of a hard transition. They're going to have to start paying back tuition. You might as well help them save money and make sure they know about that discount. Another thing, we are the only association providing individual coverage, and that's really important to know. Again, we're the only massage therapy association that offers individual coverage. All of our members have their own pool of money. That $6 million is theirs. It's called an individual aggregate. If they were to go with a different association out there, they would actually be sharing their pool of money with all of their members. So that is called a shared aggregate. And it's one pool of money that everybody's sharing. We don't do that. Your students have, and your grads would have their own policy. And that could be a bit challenging. If there's too many claims in one year, somebody could be left without coverage, and that's risky business. So keep a great thing going with ABMP. Your students already have the best type of coverage. They also have another type of coverage, which is called occurrence form insurance. And what this means is that if a client should claim injury from a massage that they received in the past, now, when typically, it can kind of go either way. If somebody gets injured in a massage or they trip and fall or whatever, they could come to that therapist within a couple of months and say, hey, I fell in your office, I tripped on that cord, I actually injured my shoulder, I'm holding you liable for that. you need to pay my doctor bills and my damages. That can happen. But more oftentimes than not, somebody will go to a lawyer and say, I went and got a massage, I was injured, and that lawyer is then going to say, okay, let's build a case. And oftentimes those claims don't come in until very close to the statute of limitations, which could be up to 2 years later and beyond. So in that case, that's called a late filed claim. So with ABMP, our members are protected from late filed claims. We have what's called occurrence form insurance. The easiest way I think to remember that is that our insurance covers you for an incident when it occurred. So as long as you had insurance when the incident occurred, you're fine, even if you haven't renewed your policy. Now, we all know that massage therapists can be quite flexible. They can move around. That's the whole idea of this profession, that you can be flexible with it. Maybe you want to move, maybe you want to travel, maybe you want to have a family. There's lots of reasons why you might put your massage career on hold for a minute. And of course, you might not renew your policy because you're not doing massage. So in that case scenario, if someone had not renewed their policy for any given number of reasons, and a claim comes in, which can happen and does happen, a claim comes in and they don't have insurance currently, if they are our member or we're in the past, we're an incident occurred. The answer is yes, you're fine, no worries. Now, there are less expensive insurance policies out there to purchase that will oftentimes be what's called claims-made insurance. Claims-made insurance is not your friend. This insurance means that they're going to look at, okay, so you had an incident 2 years ago, but what's your current scenario? Oh, I'm sorry, you're not a current member with us. They look at your insured status when the claim was made. So in this same scenario, you haven't renewed with us. Sorry, you don't have insurance because when the claim was made, you were not active with us. It doesn't matter what you had before, it's what you are today. So occurrence form, good, claims made, not so great. And this goes for any type of insurance. So I'm so glad I know this now. I know to always look for occurrence form no matter what insurance I'm looking at. So why not keep an awesome thing going with ABMP? It truly is the best coverage that they can get. Now, this transition that I'm talking about, insurance can only protect a therapist practicing legally. So what you need to know is that if your state requires licensure to practice legally, then once your students have met that criteria, they've gotten licensed, that's when they would be eligible for professional insurance. If your state doesn't require a license, or they can get insurance before licensure, then we can upgrade them right away as soon as they have graduated. Now, sometimes there are organizations out there that will allow a graduate to start early with them. And that's just kind of something we want to make sure that people know, that while you can do that, your insurance is not activated until you have that license. So you could be paying for 2 or 3 months of insurance that you don't have. And so why would you do that? Why not just wait until you're licensed and get a full year of coverage for that price? And again, remember, it's only $75 that first year. So it's the best deal out there. Just wait till you have your license and you're good to go. And by the way, your grads can just call us or go online, and that discount and policy is waiting for them. So once they do upgrade to professional insurance and membership with us, they also get some additional goodies you should be aware of. They get an incredible resource called our Successful Practice Handbook. And it kind of becomes a massage therapist, support system. It covers all sorts of things, from choosing the career path to business basics, to getting your taxes done, to marketing and advertising, to opening up your own spa and hiring people, and how do you do that, and so much more. So that is a digital access that they have to this guide, and it's filled up. Their website that they had as a student now becomes a professional website. So any work they've done as a student just carries over. They don't have to start over again. They also become a part of our massagetherapy.com website, which is our public website for people to learn more about massage and also find a therapist near them. And your grads will also have continued use of our marketing materials. So we have a newsletter generator, a brochure generator, and these are really easy to create, beautiful professional brochures and newsletters literally in 5 minutes time. and they are phenomenal. They can be emailed, printed, attached to social media. So really a great way for your students to look as if they've been in the profession for years when they might have only been in the profession for a couple of months. They're also going to have access to over 50 plus membership discounts. So while as a student they have access to some of these, it's going to expand to all of our discounts once they become a professional. A lot of our professional members actually pretty much pay themselves back for their membership costs by using these discounts. And this is just a few of the discounts that we offer. Another thing that they also receive is free continuing education. We have an education center with over 100, I think there's 130 archived webinars now at the time I'm doing this webinar. And they're done by professionals in the field who do amazing work, all sorts of different bodywork, info, marketing info, research, lots of good topics to learn from. And all of these webinars are about an hour long, and they all come with an hour of free CE. So talk about saving money. This is a huge resource for our professionals in the field. So again, first year, only $75 for our premier schools, graduates of premier schools, students who have exam coach. Best policy they can get, highest limits, individual coverage, occurrence form, protection for late filed claims, no hidden fees. So ABMP, I always try to tell students that the B stands for bodywork. So that's how you remember who we are. But it also stands for the best deal. So hopefully you can see that as well. All right, so wow, we've covered a lot. We've covered all the different areas here. I hope that you can see by just getting a sense of just the tip of the iceberg of how we're supporting our premier schools and their students and instructors and staff, that we really are trying to build the building blocks of supporting you and supporting your student success. So I hope that you feel well supported. Please make sure to contact us with any questions at all. We've got a team of folks in Colorado that are there to serve you. And we really do give us a call. If you have any student issues with exam coach, like maybe a login issue, or they need to add practice exams or expiration date, they need extensions on it, on their exam coach, please feel free to have your students contact our membership department. They know what to do. They're there to support them. They're right by their phones all day, every day. Well, 5 days a week during business hours. If you should need staff support, like you've got exam coach tracker questions, or you want to find a resource that you're wondering if we have, or you're wondering if your order's gone through or there's an issue with the order, definitely you can contact either Ashley or I. Ashley Hurlbert is our school relations coordinator. She is amazing and definitely on top of all the ordering things and questions that you've got. If it's more resource oriented, please feel free to contact me as the Director of Membership Outreach. So we are here to serve. You can contact our membership number and they can get you to us as well. But I do want to just say thank you so much for letting us partner with you and letting us be a part of your continued success and your student success. That is something that we thrive to do on a daily basis, and we're just privileged to have that opportunity to work with you. So thank you so much. Please do contact us if we can be a support in any way. Here's my email, taffy@abmp.com, and we look forward to talking with you soon. Take care. Have a great one. Bye-bye.